everybody, it's Scrappy Canuck and I'm here on day 4 of our flower tutorial series to share with you my technique for making these beautiful Japanese Kusudama flowers. Now this is kind of what they look like in their traditional form. Apparently this is a Japanese traditional paper fold, and what was done with them was you actually create a whole bunch of them and then they're placed together kind of beside each other to create a flower ball. I really liked the shape up top, but I wanted to figure out how I could modify this side part so that I could get a flower that would actually lay flat on a scrapbook layout or on a card, just because it's such a pretty look from up top. So I'm going to show you my altered technique for these Japanese Kusudama flowers. Okay, so let's get going. You can use origami paper or any kind of thin embellishment paper that you might have. This is just from my scraps. But don't go with a really thick cardstock for this particular fold. It's just going to be too thick for you, and when you're trying to create these folds in here for the petals, it's just going to get too bulky. So work with a nice kind of lightweight paper that's going to give you some give on those particular folds. I just found this one in my scrappy stash actually. So to make this size you need a piece of square that's 3 by 3 inches. If you want to go with a flower that's this size, just cut your square down to 2 by 2 inches or anything in between. Just don't go too much smaller than that. The fold's going to be really difficult for you to do on anything smaller than a 2 by 2. I'm just going to take some Distress ink here and I'm just going to ink up the edges of my paper just to kind of get rid of that white kind of edging that you get kind of on some of your papers. You can skip this step. I just kind of like the inked look right now and use it on a lot of my pages, so I like my embellishments to coordinate. You don't have to be too careful with what you're doing here. Just kind of slap on some ink around the edges of your paper. Just like that. There you go. Okay, so let's get to the fun part, which is the folding technique. I'm just going to actually turn my paper so it's now in a diamond shape. I'm going to take the bottom of my diamond and I'm going to fold it up almost all the way up to the top edge of my paper. Now traditionally it's folded all the way up to the top, but I actually like to have this kind of this little white border on the inside of my petals. Just kind of here, I'll show you on one of these completed ones, this edge right in here. So that's how you create it, just at this particular step, just by not folding it all the way up. But you can if you want to, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to take my bone folder and I'm just going to press down my fold just to get a nice tight fold. And then I'm going to take one of the bottom edges of my triangle and fold it right up to the top point of this particular triangle. I'm going to repeat that on the other side right here. And then just use the bone folder again to press down that fold so it's nice and tight. Now what I'm going to do is just going to take that top edge and I'm going to use this bottom edge right here as the point where I'm going to line up my fold. So I'm just going to line it up here and just press down just like this. Bone folder. So again, I'm going to take this top edge here. I'm going to line it up along this edge. I'm going to line up the edge of the papers right there. And I'm just going to press down to create my fold here. There we go. Okay, perfect. And wouldn't this look cute actually if I just actually took 3 of these and placed them side by side? Get a nice little flower that way too. But let's continue. This is the tricky fold. What you want to do is stick your finger in between this fold that you just created, and then you're going to open it backwards on itself and press down. And when you've done it, it actually reminds me of a little kite. So you can kind of see how it looks like a kite there. So I'll just repeat it on the other side. Just open up this fold, press it open a little bit, get your fingers inside of there. Don't worry about kind of opening your folds. You'll be able to press them down again in a minute. So get your fingers in there and just press down so they get this little kind of kite fold. Just place it down here. This would actually look cute as a flower too. Overlap a few of these together. Alright, there we go. Okay, now, traditionally, what you would do next is you would actually fold the paper down this way, but I don't like seeing the white there, so I'm actually going to fold it back on itself instead of forward towards me. So I'm just going to tuck it in here into this little pocket that I've created and just press it down, just like that. So again, I'll just kind of tuck it in behind, back on itself right into the little pocket, and just make sure it's just lined up there, and then there you go. So now I've gone back to kind of having this triangular type of shape right here. Take this bottom edge, I'm going to fold it up. That fold is already there for you, so you just basically need to kind of refold that that little piece on itself and just press down. There we go. And that's actually the extent of it. All you need now is some adhesive. You're going to finish the fold by just applying some adhesive to one of these little triangular shapes on the side. And you're simply going to glue that together on the other side. What you want to make sure though that you don't do is fold the back edge of the flower, and I'll show you what I mean here. So I'm just going to pinch here, but don't pinch your fold at the back because that's actually going to create the nice round shape of your petal. I'm just going to hold it together just for a couple minutes just to let it dry and just separate out my petals here in the middle, and you're all set to go. Now go ahead and make 4 more of these. You need 5 in total. Okay, so I've cheated a bit. I've gone ahead and I've made 5 of these, and now I want to just modify them so that we can create the smaller version that can lay flat on a scrapbook card or scrapbook layout. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my completed petals and I'm just going to snip off the bottom part, the bottom kind of pointy part. You've got a lot to cut through there. There's a lot of folded paper, so make sure you've got some nice sharp scissors. And then I can just look at the profile and see if I like the way that that would sit. This one sticks up a little bit too high for me, so I'm just going to kind of modify the bottom corner here a little bit. There we go. I'll just pop it open again so you can kind of see what that would look like. Now I'm just going to use this as a template to cut the rest of the petals. So I just hold it up against the other 4 petals that I've created actually. And then I'm just going to use it to figure out how far down I want to cut. The reason I'm doing it this way is I just want to make sure that all my petals are the same length. And so just using one as a template kind of helps you to do that. So we'll just continue on here doing this. You don't have to be too exact with this. Don't be kind of too worried. You can measure it and mark it and with a pencil if you want, if you don't kind of want to freehand cut it like this. Sometimes it's hard to hold on to these little 3-dimensional elements while you're cutting, but it doesn't really matter. And one more. Here we go. Just cut off this bottom edge. And there we go. I've got my 5 petals. They're flat, they all stand, and I'm ready to do the next part of my flower, which is just assembling it. Alright, so the next thing we need to do is we need to put these little petals together. I like to use hot glue right here on the edges to keep it together, just because it's nice and quick and holds really well. So just take your glue gun and just along this inside edge of your flower, of the petal, you're just going to put a little dollop of glue and just press it up against the next one that comes beside it, just like that. Super easy. You can see it's already starting to hold with the glue. I'm just going to press it and just wipe off this little bit of extra glue that's popping up here, just like that. Okay, and then all we're going to do is we're just going to continue around adding each one of the petals one at a time. So a little tiny bit of glue. You really don't need a lot of glue to hold it together. You don't want the glue kind of squishing out all different directions. So we'll just put this one up right beside it. There we go. You can see it's already starting to take shape. Alright, here we go. Push that one up against there. And then I've got one more to go, and we'll be all finished actually putting this flower together. Now for this one, of course, you're going to need to put glue just on both sides. So we'll just adhere it on to one of the petals first. We'll just do the bottom petal first. And now I'm just going to complete my flower just by closing up the spot. One more bead of glue right in here. And we'll just kind of press it in here like this. And then we've got this beautiful flower that we can now adhere to our projects. Look at how cute is that? I just love these. They're so cute. Alright, so I'm just going to take a little bit of ink here and just apply that just in the middle of my flower. It's just going to give it a little more dimension, kind of help it to pop out a little bit more, but this is a totally optional step. You could also, maybe use some glimmer in here or some shimmer paints, like some liquid pearls or something like that. Anything like that, just to kind of add a little bit of something to the middle of the flower. But they look beautiful even without doing this, so you don't need to worry about this part too much. So there you go, all finished. Once you get the fold down, these are super fast and easy to make, and they give a really great dimensional effect on your projects. So I hope you've enjoyed this little tutorial today, and don't forget to come and visit Scrappy Canuck Studios tomorrow for one last flower tutorial this week. Thanks for stopping by.